You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tata. The Africa we want: unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherland's calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan-African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa. So, good evening, everyone. Good evening, dear Pan-African Daily TV family, friends, and well-wishers worldwide. Thank you for joining us on this special edition where we want to start talking about the first CARICOM, which is the Africa Caribbean Summit, which took place on Tuesday, the 7th. We already announced it here, and it happened to have been a very big step in the movement so far in the relationship between Africa and its diaspora. So joining us live today on the show, we're going to have Ambassador Dr. Williams Wallace, who is going to be sharing perspective on how this whole thing has been going on for centuries, and also him, like the Nigerian Honorary Consul to Caribbean. I mean, we talk about Antigua and Barbuda, and also the African Business Roundtable ambassador to America and the Caribbean is really going to be telling us how this initiation has taken a while. But of course, we know that tomorrow we're going to get the organizer or the initiator and the ambassador who has put this whole summit and in the name of, His Excellency David Comisia, a very renowned son of the soil, Pan-African, humble, gentle. I mean, ever since we posted, his flyer that he'll be coming up live, I mean, we've been seeing comments from the Caribbean, even from the continent, saying, "Oh, you've just touched the right person." On the Pan-African Daily, and they're so excited that we actually had to, get in contact with him, and that we had the opportunity and the honor to host him on the Pan-African Daily TV. I mean, we all know this was one of the biggest high-end summit in the life and history of Africa since 500 years ago. I mean, we've been sharing a lot of information in this. So what more else? I mean, when I spoke to Edith from the Caribbean, Mama Edith, and she said, God is just been blessing Africa every minute, but sometimes we're slow to even see it. What happens at this particular moment after we've been shouting and crying? So it's just our time, and it's now and forever. It's not like it's going to start today and end tomorrow. So whatever small steps that we're making, if we don't appreciate the small steps, we can never even appreciate unity. So this essential step is very important in the life and history of us as Africans, but also in our individual lives as we join to celebrate this union, right? The happy union, motherland and their children in the diaspora. It's a wonderful, wonderful historic event. And normally, if we are not singing and dancing to this thing, who is going to be doing it? I mean, we heard the coup d'etat in Guinea, and it was everywhere, right? It was everywhere. It's just like, the Western media likes bad news about Africa. I don't know why, for whatever reason. Anyway, Ambassador, he's telling us that, but something like this is an iconic historic event. They have been saying it? No, they are not, because this is our story and nobody gives a damn about us, particularly when it works for us, particularly when it is, positive, talking about, those kind of things that we've been dreaming about. So it is us to create this narrative. It is us to celebrate this wonderful union. And of course, every African should know this. What just happened is not just, head of state meeting with Caribbean and they just discussing business. Like you see, the mainstream media is already putting, they want to be talking about climate change. They want to be talking about trade relationship. No, for us at the Pan-African Daily, it is motherland calling its children home. The dream of Dr. Marcus Garvey is a reality. whatever they sat on that round table to talk about, we know that it is the time for the children that were enslaved to go back home. However, what format they want to put it, that is the truth. And we're going to crack it here. So I'm happy. I hope all of you are signing in, you're joining on the live today. I can already see a lot of people are watching here on Facebook and on YouTube. I want to thank you so very much for joining on this warm-up show for tomorrow. So I'll go back to the studio and meet my honorable ambassador, Dr. William Wallace. I want to thank you for being on the show, sir, spontaneously. Particularly, you were already on BNT. What was that all about? Giving some very important interviews.
Black News Channel actually contacted me as well, just like yourself, a couple of days ago, and asked me that they'd like me to be the first to talk about the CARICOM-Africa Summit because of the initiatives that I have been promoting over all these years, quietly, assiduously, without much shouting. But a lot of people do know, like yourself, the work that myself, Pierre Lumumba, Ambassador Chirombe, and others have been doing, Julius Malema, Joshua Mafongo. We're all doing our bit quietly, silently, and they contacted me and asked me, since I have, both Caribbean and African relationship, to talk about the takeaway points. So that was quite enlightening. And I hope our African American brothers and sisters, the 50 million of them who are the audience of Black News Channel, and we got to promote them too, were able to take away some things from what I had to say. It's important that we keep the momentum going. We keep those who are fastidious in ensuring the Africa that we want, Advocacy, which I chair, as Africans doing it for themselves, by themselves, African solutions to African problems. I can't keep repeating that over and over again. African Development Goals Initiative, and also the African People's Liberation Army. Those are, for me, the focus of what we should be talking about. Not talk. There's a lot of talk, but no doing and no implementation. We could continue to talk whilst the enemy within is growing and growing and growing and taking over our resources on our land, and we have to put a stop to it. So Africa Caribbean Summit was a great step in the right direction. And as you said, we have to do our own narrative like you're doing, like BNC is doing, like other Black media should be doing and will continue to do, because the other Western and Asian media are not going to do it for us. They don't want to sell anything that's positive. Now that we are opening up the doors for our people to come home, and remember, one of my things I said in one of the interviews I had with you, let our African in the diaspora come back home and repopulate and take a shareholding of our resources, bring their skills, transfer their knowledge. That is what Africa needs at this point in time. And it's only we that can do it. We've got to shove out all these foreign, what would I call them? Vultures. Yes, that's the right word, because they're picking everything that we have and scavenging. They don't care about the environment. It's affecting our water. It's affecting climate change. Everything that is not good for our continent. Trying to interfere with our organic food. They want to own seeds and give us genetically modified plants and things to eat to change our DNA. Those are things that are serious that we got to look at. So I'm happy that you're going to have another Pan-Africanist in David Commission, who is going to come on with you tomorrow to talk about his takeaways and what he saw from the summit. But increasingly, what is being realized now is that we have to go south-south. You cannot go south-north again to the colonial masters, or southwest, to former imperialists and ongoing, or to the east. None of them, absolutely none of them are thinking anything positive for Africa. What they prefer is for us to fight among ourselves, squabble, kill ourselves, whilst they laugh and they take away as vultures, what we've got. And we've got to put a stop to that. So the Africa-Caribbean Summit produced a couple good positives. The Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Brown, talked about banishing, visas 2 ways, both to Africa and to the Caribbean. And I think that's a step in the right direction, because it means we're embracing all our people who have free travel, free movement, free trading. That's very important. That's a very key, significant point. Celebrating the day, which is the 7th of September, is also a good tone. So it reminds us that we have a day where the Africans on the continent and the Africans in diaspora come together, and we should start celebrating that with song, music, culture, interactions, whether we go to Africa or they come to the Caribbean. Let's celebrate. Let's start celebrating the significance of the handshake across the oceans, of the handshake across the Atlantic Ocean, because don't forget, that was our middle passage. That is where we were brought forcibly to the Caribbean, cut off from our culture, cut off from our languages, cut off from our traditional ways of life, which was Africacy. We knew nothing about democracy, communism, socialism, Western Westminster model, presidential model, and all that type of nonsense. We have to go back to our own way of governing ourselves. So that was one good takeaway. The other thing was the multilateral, air services agreement, which means all African airlines should try now to come to the Caribbean, choose a country, and we just start flying between each other. I think that's another good idea. I've been pioneering for the past 40 years about getting BASAs enacted between the Caribbean and Africa. And thankfully, everyone is now thinking in that direction. It's taken quite a long time, but once it has arrived and we start doing that, we are going to bring our people closer together. And it means that people can now leave where they are and replant themselves on the continent. There's enough land. Why are we going to allow other people to come into our land who want to take over the land, take over the soil, the richest soil in the world? Africa. You drop something, it grows to humongous sizes. You know that. You're from Cameroon. You drop a mango seed, it grows bigger than a pumpkin. And our yams are as long as a house sometimes. You know that. So it tells you that we are the Garden of Eden. We are rich in everything that is there. 90% of the world resources is there. 75% of the continent is young people. These are the leaders that we need now to take over the continent. And we need input to come from, whether it's Brazil, 100 million in Brazil, we have in Colombia, we have in Americas, we have in the Caribbean. We should be heading home. That's where they should be heading. Repopulate Africa. That's my other mantra. Africans, repopulate Africa. Forget about where you are and walking up and down the streets eating burgers and all kinds of poisonous foods. Go home, plant, set up agricultural plots, start living and start being an African.
Wonderful. 7th of September should be the day in the Pan-African Daily calendar. I just noted it down. A lot of things actually happen on this day, giving us enough reason to celebrate. I mean, I take, for instance, children that are born on this day are actually children that are coming to unite, because it's very symbolic. It's very symbolic. His Excellency, you have been the ambassador for the African Business Roundtable for the Caribbean and the Americas for long. It means you've been talking about these issues. What is that all about?
Well, the African Business Roundtable was set up by Bamanga Tuku in Nigeria, and he brought in individuals who he thought can promote the idea of Africans doing business in the Americas and in the Caribbean and vice versa, and thought me, to be an able promoter of that ideal and that dream. So what African Business Roundtable has been doing, holding seminars, doing introductions and networking of Africans to to do business in the Americas and in the Caribbean, and vice versa. African Americans coming to Africa and being introduced and networked to do business in Africa, and give them the easy part to understand how things work, etc. So it has been doing an excellent job in putting that together, and quietly as well. So they've been to many events in the United States following the presidents of African countries when they go to the UN and New York, and have side meetings with African American business people who are interested, but they're not sure, what to look for, how to go about what they need to go about, where are the areas for investments, etc. And that has been part of the hand-holding African Business Roundtable has been doing. And I have been promoting that quietly as well, because that is not something, as you say, that will be in the news. None of the major news will pick up that, Africans have been doing it for themselves, by themselves, and networking to get business done, and quietly doing investment. So that's been, a little pathway. But we want the bigger part. We want to open up the balloon. We want to burst the balloon and let a movement start. Let Africans now come to the Caribbean. Let African Americans, Brazilians, Caribbean head to Africa and start putting a pin down somewhere, whether it's Gambia, Tanzania, Rwanda, Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa. Choose your spot and go. Choose your spot and go and do what you need to do, because it's important that we go back and help our brothers and sisters, and also teach them. And part of the whole concept should be trying as much as possible to demonstrate that we can do it for ourselves. We have so many brilliant people abroad, in the diaspora, who when they come home can teach, can train, can transfer skill, whether it's engineering, and especially the digital footprint. There are just so many. Let Africa grow with your knowledge. Bring back your knowledge and your experience. Let's do it.
Beautiful. Let's do it. That's the message. Of course, we have to keep doing it, particularly when we see that the continent is actually proactive now and reacting in a very, I don't know. We've been talking and talking. It's like nothing was happening. Did it come as a surprise to you?
Well, not quite at this time. Why? Because Mia Motley is a very vibrant African, Pan-Africanist in the Caribbean, and she sees straight. She doesn't mince her words, like most women do when they decide to take up the mantle. They're protective, and she has seen it all. And I think she's a great ambassador, like Chirombi, for African women. And, in every age we have had, African women come up to the plate, stand up, and say what needs to be said. But, she has a warrior mentality. She will take it on mentally, verbally, and I dare say probably physically as well. And when she visited Kenya, I remember that she made a commitment that she must get Africa and the Caribbean to come together. So she has been working assiduously to promote that relationship. So it did not come as a surprise, because she is a no-nonsense type of person. And she demonstrated that by bringing this to the fore in 2 years. In 2 years' time, she was able to bring this to the fore, because it was only 2 years ago, I believe, they had an exchange. Uhuru visited her, and she visited Kenya. So that's to show that when we have the ability to meet and discuss and are on the same track and have the same theme, Pan-Africanism, Africans doing it for themselves, by themselves. Look to Africa. Africa has so much potential, and everybody else is seeing it. And aircraft will be flying to Africa. 80% of them are foreigners. And you ask yourself the $60 million question. When you are bad talking and giving negative narrative on Africa, why are you going there? What are you doing? What are you doing? And then They tell their friends, shh, don't talk too much. I am doing some gold in Zimbabwe. I got an easy ride. You know, I have a white skin or I have a Chinese skin, and therefore they are slaves anyway. Their mentality, I'm getting a great deal. Or they're going and taking the cocoa, or they're going and taking the coltan or whatever. And they create wars to continue confusion so they can just take away all the raw material resources. I've said it before, all these infrastructure deals that they come and give to African countries. What is the reason for that? Is to make it easier to move out raw materials. They don't go and say, let's do health programs. They don't go and say, let's do education programs. They don't go and say, let's do medical programs. No, they want big infrastructure programs. And if you look at it and the way it's mapped out, and you put a template over all the infrastructure programs, look at the countries that they're doing it in, and look at what those countries have as raw materials. And then look at where those transportation networks are heading. They're heading towards where they can take raw materials out of the country. Somebody should wake up and do a template and look over the continent of Africa and then put on top of the infrastructure projects that are being offered. Look upon it, and then you would see what I'm talking about. People don't look and read and search and research. They just take the money, begging bowls. Let's beg. Let's get debt. Let's have our generations to come tied to debts. Nonsense. And this is where the African Union is going wrong. The African Union, as I said before, should be and must represent the countries in Africa, the continent. Why should each individual country be taking loans? African Union should underwrite that. They should say, come and talk to us and let us look at what you're offering. Let's be able to translate it, and we sign up. So in other words, there's a buffer between the countries and African Union as one country. The African Union, that's what you want to call it, should take care of loan that people are being offered. Bring all the brilliant minds together to go through those loans. It must be there. Filter it first before you say, okay, Tanzania, you can now take this loan at the lowest percentage. We've negotiated everything, and you are buffered, you are protected, your development is not at risk. And that is what the African Union should be doing. So it means that as good as we are talking about the African Union, we are still talking about leadership, and leadership is needed with the right thinking people at the African Union. That's why people like Pierre Lumumba and Shirombi and others should be the ones who are steering the ship of the African Union. And I'm serious about that. They must have people who are not just passionate, but are committed for the continent, not committed to their selfish selves and their cabals. This is what is happening. And the people who loan these monies, they know how to divide and rule the continent. And that's what they've been doing. That needs to change. The narrative needs to change. And that's why we need to have the African People's Liberation Army in every nook and cranny of the continent, every community, and start to take examples from Ghana. You know, each community, you know, you have a factory, each community you have a warehouse, and they're all shareholders. So you are in that community, you are shareholder of the resources in your community. You are not salaried or wage workers. Forget that. Get rid of the ideas of Africans being paid wages. Make them shareholders. So when they're being paid, they're getting dividends from their resources, and eventually have a takeover plan. And that is, you start by having people bring their knowledge, their skills, their products, make a profit, share your profit, but afterwards you hand over. You know, look at Dubai. That's what they do. You can't have a business in Dubai unless there is an Emirati who is a shareholder in that company, and sometimes or most times they have the majority share. And that is how they've been developing Dubai. There are so many examples around the world to learn from. What are we doing? We're sitting back and just watching people come and say, oh, look at what they're doing to me. Look at how they're beating up our people. Look at how they're taking away our resources. But all that is talk. Talk, talk, talk. No one is doing anything. They are just talking, talking, talking. No implementation, no action. So it's time that African youth wake up and start taking charge of their country, of their resources, and of their means of livelihood. Because other people are taking their means of livelihood and shipping it all back. People are shipping soil out of Africa. People are shipping agricultural produce that is not consumed by the locals to their countries. I mean, come on. What are we doing, Suzanne? What are we doing? Let's get the berries on the heads. African People's Liberation Army, let's get those berries on and let those people become, pioneers, fighters, evangelists for the continent.
Absolute. I totally agree with you, His Excellency. One other question. Do you see other countries emulating? I mean, this is the first step and this is the door opener. Caribbean has started in the right place because they have the power woman, and I'm looking forward to host her on the Pan-African Daily TV. That will be the first minister that will be having here, and everything is done. Is said she's going to be here. Promised, done.
Fantastic.
So, yes, yes. So, do you see other countries? I mean, we're talking about America, Brazil, Haiti, emulating this step, like to say, oh, it worked for the Caribbean. So, what are we doing?
Well, other people have done it. Look at the European Union. They have done it. They have done it over time for their people. And
no, I'm talking about the Black community. The European Union is not working in any interest.
Well, the Black community, this should be how do I put it? This should be the guidebook of what they should be doing. This should be the guidebook. This is a step in the right direction. This is just the template for what we need to be doing. And they should now take whatever part of it they can and emulate it, expand it, and utilize it, for the benefit of those in the diaspora and their own country. Look at Ghana. Ghana had Operation Joseph. Let's have Operation Joseph in every bloody country in Africa. Operation Joseph, you bring your African brothers and sisters back home, don't care where they come from, they are and have a right to be on the continent. They didn't ask the continent, they were forcibly taken from the continent. So therefore, let's have, if it's the first thing we do, Operation Joseph in every goddamn country on the continent. So Ghana has started it. That's a template. That's even before the CARICOM-Africa Summit. They have a template, and we should follow lead. So every other country, put together their own Operation Joseph and start welcoming home our brothers and sisters. Make it easy for them to come home, take up sticks from wherever they are, and start what I will call the brain drain back to Africa. The brain drain back to Africa. The skills drain back to Africa. The investment drain back to Africa. Where you are protected, you are surrounded by your brothers and sisters, and they will be proud to have you. Not where you are in an alien country and you are third, fourth, fifth, and sixth class citizens. When you're in Africa, you are home. So therefore, you are a first-class citizen. You are no longer seen as second, third, fourth, fifth, dog and cat before you. No, you are home. You are proud African. And that's what we need to do. I've been preaching that over the years. I've been telling our people in the Caribbean over the years, head home, head home. What are you doing here? And suffering in silence, suffering. And you're in poverty, you're impoverished, you work from paycheck to paycheck, and you don't have the numbers, you don't have the protection, you don't have the cultural similarity to assist you where you are. You just have to take what is there in the environment. So if they're selling you poisoned food, poisoned water, you just have to take it. You gotta eat, you gotta live somehow. If you look at what is happening with pharmaceutical companies and what they do to African Americans and how they poison them and keep them buying and continually buying chemicals in their body by pharmaceutical things that they have to keep ingesting. I mean, come on, look at all these things, Suzanne. Why should we be talking about vaccines from European countries when we have the brain power if we really have a pandemic and not a plandemic, that they can't be developing their own vaccines? Everybody's sitting back and saying, we've all signed up and we're just waiting for vaccines and the millions to come from here and there. Do you know what are in those vaccines? Is anybody doing a test on every vaccine that has come into the African continent? Who knows? These are questions we have to ask ourselves. It's not about saying yes, everybody just follow the leader like sheep. Yeah, well, we all signed up to this. We all signed. God damn, they talked on the Africa Summit about, Africans doing the development in vaccines and in antidotes. Yes, that's what we should be doing. If there is something that is going to affect us, let us look inwards and let us utilize our brain power to do what we need to do. Did they not test the Oxford vaccine in Kenya so that Kenyans accept and say, yeah, that is a good vaccine? But what happened to Kenya developing their own? What happened to South Africa developing their own? Nigeria, Ghana, let's develop our own.
Correct. The concept of Afrocracy is actually a word that we've been talking a lot about democracy and say democracy, does it actually fit in the culture and the values of Africa? And you came up with this initiative, or you're the chairman sitting on Afrocracy. That's just taking the demo and putting Afrocracy.
It's Afrocracy. We came up with Advocacy in Dar es Salaam 4 years ago, when we realized that all these foreign systems are misplaced in Africa. All we are doing is adopting systems that do not belong to the African way of life, the African traditional way of life, and realize that if we go back to Renaissance, African Renaissance, of how we ruled ourselves, how we governed ourselves, whether you talked about the village growing up a child, whether you talk about respecting elders and making sure they were inclusive, not set aside in some old people's home. All those are parts of the way we developed, making sure that our crops were protected, our water were protected. We paid homage to the land and ensured that, the land was used in the right way. Not people coming and spilling oil and filling up the Ogoni land, for example, with oil spills all over our food crops, all over our fishes, etc., and nobody cares. We, as the keepers of this Eden, Africa, always had a way of doing things, and that's Advocacy. That's not democracy. All these systems that we inherited has caused confusion. When you have a plan, as soon as 4 years is up, you have to go into politics. People start 2 years into the plan to think about coming back into politics. So nobody's focused on a long term. Let's take a bit out from the Chinese. Mao Zedong had a 50-year plan. Every 5 years, some things were to be achieved, and they've done it. So why can't we do the same? Don't have to wait till politics and people come in to start over all over again or to ditch. So no development takes place because everybody's thinking politics. They're thinking all the systems that they inherited. Every 4 years, have an election. Every 4 years, start over with a new project. That was not the African way of life. We had a continuum because it's the village, it's the survivor, it's all the things that we needed as a people, how we lived and governed ourselves. And that's what we've got to go back to. Africans do it for themselves, by themselves. African solutions to African problems. That is the theme, vision, and mission of Advocacy.
Wonderful. 4 years ago, you met with Professor PLO and you came out with this concept. What is it then? Is it an organization, or it was first of all putting down a blueprint, or where is it taking us to?
Yeah, it is a blueprint. And what we've been doing, the first part of it was to start empowering and mentoring young people to take the concept. And that's what we've been. And the reason for that is that if they grow up with the mentality of Advocacy, everything else, all other systems will become alien to them. And so that was the first part of the blueprint. The other parts of the blueprint is now to get current leadership to accept that we must change the system that we inherited. We must now look inwards rather than outwards. And that is also one of the key things of Africa CARICOM Summit, because we are starting to look inwards now on a large scale. But on the lower scale, it's looking inwards now in the individual places that we are, whether you're in Nigeria or Ghana, etc., breaking down those barriers, looking inwards, making sure there's movement among the countries. One united Africa, making sure, as we have now set up the African Free Trade Area, making sure we can trade with ourselves. It's the biggest market, making sure we can move goods and people freely. And that is most important.
All right, I know we'll be having His Excellency David Commission, and he's actually going to be telling us what would be the next steps and even how long this concept has been going through, and what is actually Barbados and the Caribbean in terms of this potential of our people going back, particularly the question on airline. Because the first thing to mobilize people, we know we have the logistics to do. And so there must be those infrastructures. I already see people throwing out. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Now I was saying, I already saw questions coming in to find out, is there actually something concrete about the airlines, or is it just a plan? But I think we saw even a couple of months ago, a Nigerian airline actually, went to the Caribbean, and it took 5 hours or something like that.
Went to Jamaica. Went to Jamaica. I think what is happening is now people are testing the waters, and I think we have to ensure that we can get people from the Caribbean to Africa quite easily, because it's just across the Atlantic. There's no need to go up north and come back down south. That doesn't make sense. And Africans being able to come quite easily, of course, visa-free to the Caribbean. So it's things like that has to break down. I think when they know that they don't have to find and line up and pay thousands of dollars for visas to European countries and North American countries, etc., and they're visa-free, that breaks down the logistics better, because now I can head to the Caribbean. I don't have to worry about setting up and standing in heat, rain, snow, or sun, or whatever to get a visa, right? And the same the other way around. That Africans. So once that happens, the numbers will increase. So one of the things from that summit, they said, banish visas. I agree with that entirely, and that's what Gaston Brown said from Antigua, and he was correct. If you banish the visas, you have freedom to travel, and when you freed up the travel, the transporters will be able to fill the aircrafts.
Correct.
With that, we now start to have the travel freedom, even if it's once a week, one country to the other. You'll be seeing the skies. The skies will be lit up with aircraft, because everybody now know. Look, I can head to Nigeria. I don't need a visa. I can head to Ghana. I don't need a visa. I'm going home. Do you understand what I'm saying? And other people, of course, will want to take advantage of it, but it doesn't matter. The more, the merrier. But let's just free up the logistics from the point of view of practicality. And practicality has to do with ensuring people are visa-free both ways. And then the traffic will flow. So when people are talking about that, it's the governments now and the summit to ensure that what they've said, they can practicalize. And if they can practicalize, getting rid of visas as one singular achievement from this summit, that will start the flow, and that will do the investment, the logistics, the travel, etc. I've been working on this for 40 years, Suzanne, promoting South-South
development.
Yes, I was responsible for getting the BASA with Trinidad and Nigeria done, but nothing happened. That was really President Robinson who came to Nigeria, and we talked about it, and we managed to follow up and get the BASA signed, some years ago, but no operator was able to take up the challenge. And I am working, by the way, I am now working on establishing one or two of the flights. I'm working with some operators right now, and we are discussing, even just up to last night, we had a discussion on how we can make it possible and practical. But the quicker the bureaucracy of governments make it easy just by making an announcement. They should just make one singular announcement. Caribbean people, visa free to Africa. That should be from the summit. And then on the other side, they say African people are free to travel to the Caribbean visa free. That alone opens up, the entire process.
I
It's the
laughed.
will. It's the will. It's the will.
Yeah, I know.
You see what I've been talking about, Susan, is the talk. Let's not talk. Let's walk the talk. Walk it. So I am telling them now. I mean, who the hell, is a minister or prime minister? You just, you have that on your shoulder. Show me what you're going to do. Show me. Make the statement. Sign it off. It's quite easy. They can do it virtually. They can make that announcement next week if they are so sincere. Do it. Let's not have the talk. Let's walk, and let's walk the talk. I keep telling you, I'm fed up of those people who just talk, nothing else. They're good at pontification. Everybody's good at sitting back and talking nice words. Where's the action? Where is the action? I like to see things WIE with immediate effect. I don't care about, all the talk. Show me the color of your money. Show me the color of your reasoning. Show me you're committed. Show me. I don't want to hear the talk. It means nothing to me. And it means nothing to those of our brothers and sisters who are crying out to get home when you make it difficult for them to get home. Or difficult for those on the continent to come and meet their brothers and sisters in the Caribbean. They're putting up bonds, making it you can only come for 3 weeks. And what nonsense is that? How are you going to get to, to ground with your brothers and sisters? So Walter Rodney talked to, and all this, we talk about grounding with my brothers. How are you going to ground if you have limitations to visit, bonds to pay, money to pay, and it's impossible. I don't have time for that nonsense. We don't have the time. Time is of the essence now. Let's do it. Let's not talk it. And I'm quite sure that people like Mia Motley and her team is probably talking the same talk, in terms of wanting action. And I look forward to your talk with her and to what she tells her counterpart, Uhuru, about signing off on some things that can be done immediately.
If you look at the leadership that had this roundtable, I mean, of course, I was one of those that said, okay. I mean, we have had His Excellency Faki Muhammad on the roundtable. I mean, his input and stuff like that. So this is a moment that we seem to think, is it really the time? I mean, if particularly the African Union was involved. I mean, we know Uhuru and the other president, these are practical president or Excellency Paul Kagame. I mean, there's even the authenticity, the originality of the quality of those that were sitting on that round table. Doesn't that send a signal that these are not going to be talks?
Yeah, it does. But I hear again what I've said. I have said, let's implement.
Do it.
Let's do it. I say, yes, the quality of people around a round table talking is one thing. After that, and all the show time is over, make an announcement in a week's time, to show that there's action on even one subject matter. One. Let's show that this is serious. Once it's done, then people can say, yes, the people who are gathered here mean business. I'm not saying that some are not serious, but what I'm saying is that the ones who are governing this summit should now take it seriously to the next stage, which is to implement and give timetables. We are going to make visa free by November the 1st, 2021. Bam. We know that's going to happen. We then see it happen. We are going to start and set up our, our own laboratories to test and develop vaccines or whatever by 2022 ending. Let's see it. We are going to have, plans for food security between our people and share, interchange yam, plantain, etc., whatever, I'm just using that as an analogy. Let's just do it and put timetables to it, because that now means you have a commitment. It shows that you're serious and that you've thought it out and it's practical and you can do it. But if it's just talk because the people found a serious talkers, and then there's no action after because they've been held back by one thing or another, then we are not going anywhere. So I am just playing devil's advocate here and putting a critique for our leaders who were gathered for this historic summit to start implementing and just don't talk. I am not interested in the niceties. I'm interested in the practicalities. Me, I'm one individual, but I think as a passionate Pan-Africanist, we have seen what has happened over the years, and we want to see practical action.
Absolute. Yes, that is from the point of the leadership. I mean, I also understand that in as much as they put these things there, they have steps and issues. I mean, we're just talking about the first meeting, and then we had the resolutions from those meetings and some very key important points. His Excellency is going to tell us all about it. But now, what about the role of the commons? What about the role of the African, particularly the media? Because like I see, normally summits like this and on an historic event like this,
the
newspapers will pick it and people will be doing their own job. What is the role of the African, to push this agenda? Because when we keep repeating what was done in the summit, we automatically hold them accountable to stick to their words, isn't it? Is that just a one-man thing?
No, it should be all-encompassing. I think what the governments have to do now is to perhaps have a sensitization to their population that this is what has happened, this is the steps that are to be taken, and form themselves into groups, committees, associations, whatever, to take advantage of the resolutions that have been passed. So it is about empowering, it's about sensitization, it's about encouraging, and it's about support. So where they need support to make some of these things happen, provide it. Provide it.
Okay. Another point of great interest, His Excellency, I just want to welcome those that are joining us on the Pan-African Daily TV. We're talking about this is a pre-show, like we say, to first ever Africa Caribbean or CARICOM summit that took place on Tuesday, the 7th of September. And His Excellency Ambassador Williams is here to just give us an overview for this is the kind of work that he's been doing for the Caribbeans and the America since 40 years. So yes, there had been steps that this vision had been put from the Marcus Garvey up to now. It's kind of like materializing until we saw this first virtual summit that took place, and with key top players on the continent and also in the Caribbean. For one thing that I'm certain is because when I see the powerful minister Mudley sit on that commission, and also His Excellency David Massa, I am very convinced that they are going to push the sleeping African lions to wake up and take that position. But wait a minute, do you think that Africans actually have lost that effect? That, okay, this is something we should be jubilating. They just want to be careful because they don't actually still believe or are actually trusting this leadership?
Well, leadership is an individual thing for an individual country. And the Africans who will look at that in terms of their country leaders, they are the ones who will interpret whether, they believe in their leadership commitment. So I think we have to leave that to the individual countries, and that would be something that we will have to leave to the population. We will not be able to know the truth.
Absolutely, but I'm speaking in this particular thing, like the AU was representing, and I saw comments and critics like people say, another one, and then nothing, and so what?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So what you are talking there, if you're talking specifically about the African Union, yes, everybody, I think, has the same idea that African Union is a talk shop without true leadership to implement. I will agree with that. I will agree with that if you're talking about the African Union, because it does not seem as though, for want of a better word, that they're committed to doing and implementing what is required for the African countries. And most people see the current leadership as talk and not walk. And that's why we keep saying people who should be there are all outside of the African Union organization, but are doing great things on their own. You know, whether it's Ambassador Chirimbi or Pierre Lumumba or Julius Malema or Joshua Mafongo, you know, they're all contributing individually in their own way. But if you took these passionate Pan-Africans to lead an organization like the African Union, it's going to go places because they are action people. They're not talk. They actually do. And that is what I think people might be criticizing. That, yes, the African Union was there, but are they going to do anything? No, because that's what they've seen. That's what they have not seen. Active, very active Pan-Africanists who are passionate about the continent and will take the bull by the horns of the African Union. Take the African Union bull by the horns and start to make it work. Energize it. Get the right people in the right places, not lackeys, you know, and partisans of, you know, other powers other than Africans. And that's what they're seeing. And maybe that's why they're criticizing and commenting. And I will agree. I totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. There are some questions I think we'll actually leave that to Ambassador David Commission tomorrow, because I really wanted to point on the fact that it seems really like a diplomatic something that would just end with trade relations, like business people in the Caribbean that want to do business on the continent, Africans that want to do business. But we're more actually seriously concerned about the commons, like traveling, repatriations, going back home. If they're going to benefit actually from this visa, or it's going to just be like the African continental free trade, where no, it's only for diplomacy, those that are actually like key players or in the public sector. What do you think it's going to look like?
That is why I said, if the leaders are sincere, they will communicate to their population. They will implement something that can start the process. And we talked about it just now, about visa-free. That is important. So that process will start, and you sensitize to your public that, look, you know, this is what you can do. Let's put cooperatives together. Let's look at selling as small businesses. Let's open up the markets for you, etc. Linking with the various agencies of the countries, as you say, reaching the small man. You know, they need to be sensitized. They need to be made aware, and they need to be encouraged. And that is what you are thinking should be done, must be done. It's not. It's not about there's major trade investment and diplomacy, as you said. Let's get the real Africans talking to each other, partnering with each other.
Yes.
Culturally, you know, traditionally, you know, the foods, the music, the movies, you know, doing that so that we are filtering skills, knowledge, and talent, you know, on the lower level. I don't even want to call it the lower level, because these things are $1 trillion budgets, you know. You understand?
Yes. Okay, I think I'll be picking up the calls very soon. I see a lot of calls already coming in. There should be some calls out there and questions. Please give me 1 minute. Let's take one last question, and then we're going to open the lines. And the topic today is the first ever Caribbean Africa Summit. And if you have a question or your input, we've heard it, we've seen the videos. Those of you that are still having questions, but what actually was it all about? Actually, the ambassador and the foreign trade minister for Barbuda, who is His Excellency David Commission, is going to be live with us tomorrow, and he's going to give us some really details, how long this took time to prepare, and what is it actually? Is it what actually we are saying is the African Caribbean, or is just some partners of Africa that want to do, you know, bilateral cooperation or collaboration with the Caribbean, or this is inclusive? Is it a complete package? What we're looking like, it should have been, yes, the African Union now sits on the table and say, now we want to table, you know, our diasporans, talk about the need for them to come home, the visas and all the stuff. So that is not the question or what we see on this first summit. But of course, like His Excellency said, this should be the first step that is opening up those doors, so many would have to follow. So before I open the lines, I have one more last question, His Excellency. I mean, we saw other, mostly the East African countries. What happened that Nigeria, your country, was not present? Was it any reason, or were they selected partners? What is it?
I don't represent Nigeria, but as as part of Nigeria, as I am here, I cannot answer that question. I don't know. Maybe Kenya has been driving the process with Barbados,
Mm,
and for the like of me, I cannot understand why Nigeria wouldn't be there, unless, you know, somehow, East Africa was pushing this initiative and not West Africa.
mhm,
Because was Ghana there?
mhm. No.
Right. So you have probably hit it on the head. It was probably an East Africa initiative with the Caribbean, because of the nexus between Mia Mottley and Uhuru. So I think maybe that is why, it looked and does look like an East Africa initiative with the Caribbean.
Anyway, that would not be us in the right place to answer, because we have the right person from CARICOM, and he's going to be telling us, is this just the first step in targeting the East African community? Why? Is it because they have, maybe comfortable business relationship, or the visa issue, or these presidents are actually the ones that have moved ahead to say, yes, we think it's possible? What could be the reason why we don't have the West African country, or even the Horn of Africa? We never saw this representative. Or could it also be that, yes, why should we, when the African Union is sitting, so it represents all the member states of the continent, but then we would say that it should have been just the African Union. So all these questions, ladies and gentlemen, dear Pan-African Daily TV family and fans and followers, would be answered tomorrow at the right person sitting here for the first time. I already see Caribbeans waving the flag in the air. This kind of a personality is what all Caribbeans are saying. Hey, this is one of the biggest. I even talked to the elder people about him, and everybody is just like, oh, this is the right person that you've touched. And I'll be sharing some comments about what the community is talking about. Our guest for tomorrow, Excellency David Commission, right from Belgium. We also saw, stickers and posts that everybody was like, wow, for the first time, Pan-African Daily TV, thumb ups. If you really can touch him, then this is really the Pan-African Daily TV that would represent the entire continent. It's really from us to us. So we want to thank all of you that shared that comment, gave a feedback. But if you are here and you don't even know what we're talking about, it should have been time. Maybe you go to the Caribbean homepage or the Pan-African Daily TV Facebook page. We've been posting a lot on this, and even why it came to this, and even the press release that was sent out earlier last week. I'm sorry. Of course, we also do understand it was a close something, right? It's a close because it's the first step They have to do a lot of things together. But us from the media, and particularly the Pan-African Daily, we seize those information and run with it. And we also saw the Black BNT represented. I really want to give it a shout out, and I would like to collaborate with them for us to build this kind of synergy, because this is what is lacking. What makes us sometimes, our leaders don't really feel, or they feel comfortable, is like they make a promise and no one is just making noise about it. But accountability also means you, the bloggers, you in the media, not just the mainstream media, particularly the social media is the biggest tool and weapon that we have here. That news and share over. When they keep seeing it, they will stand to the commitment that they make. So every one of us owes that process, in this process, the responsibility to contribute to push this agenda. Yes, the leaders or our leaders have even made the step. Sometimes we just sit and relax and wait that they do everything and chew it and put it in our mouth. I mean, the youth of Africans have to wake up. As sometimes we, it's like, oh no, the leaders are not giving the opportunity, but the young people, shouldn't they be seizing that opportunity? It is their right, absolutely, to seize this opportunity. So we want to see a vibrant African youth on the continent, in the diaspora. I mean, seizing the opportunity to say, yes, we're going to engage, start innovating, because now you have the platform to connect and do business, of course, and to come home. So the homework is not only on the leadership of this Africa Summit or Caribbean Summit. We want to see a lot of Caribbeans with their technology in how they live healthy, and the culture and the knowledge that they have to impact their brothers and sisters on the continent exactly the same way around. So it is not just a one-man show. That's why I asked. It is not just the continent and the Caribbean. It means they throw something. It is us, our responsibility now, to stand up to that task, support them in every way that we can, put an eye on it, pressure them, hold them accountable for their words that they make or for their statement that they make. And that way, I think something would have been happening. Share the news. You're going to be sharing this video after this show to reach everybody, so that all of us would be gathered here listening to and taking questions and asking more from the chief himself, the commander-in-chief himself for CARICOM. So I want to thank you so very much. I'm opening up the lines now, and I see already the first caller being here, His Excellency. Get ready for these questions or feedbacks and comments. Hello? Hello?
Hello, Susan.
Yes, welcome.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. As you can see, I am so happy. Couple up with a lot.
Yeah, me too. Good day. Greetings to the professor.
Yes.
Wallace William. Yeah, I managed to look at the conference on Tuesday. It was quite profound. I'm so happy that it came across, and I'm looking forward to see you with David Commerson tomorrow as well. Susan, sadly, we have those here in the Caribbean who are connected to Queen, heirs, and successors. And I'm trying to raise awareness of this historic event that took place on Tuesday. Sadly, Susan, those in authority and those in high office places here in St. Kitts and Nevis, they don't want this topic to be discussed. However, we are using a certain platform here, and they're trying to stifle my voice and other voices here. But, I'm not going to keep quiet. It's like, if I keep quiet on these things, the rocks are going to cry out. So it's our time. They are aware of the awakening, and they are frightened. They are seriously frightened, and we just have to keep their foot to the fire. I am...
Listen,
so
join
this is a global thing right now. The awakening is global. Susan, so much that was hidden from us, and it is available now. So we cannot have talk shops anymore. We cannot remain silent. We have to reach our people, and it starts with us. We have a saying here in our politics: when a politician creates, scenario that create problems, they cannot be a part of the solution. Have place us in an area where they can donate us. Well, world peace and all that. We are the one who is going to bring world peace. We, the African, because clearly from the G7, the G8, and now the G21, they cannot fix the problem of the world. They are the problem. They cannot be the solution. The solution remain with us, African people. We're gonna have to fix this, Susan. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you so very much. At least you have a platform where your voice would be heard, and thousands and thousands would follow. Yes, go ahead.
Happy that he made the comment that he will not be stifled. So tell him to set up his own advocacy movement in St. Kitts and join African People's Liberation Army. Give him the details. It is essential that we now start fighting for ourselves and fighting to protect those whose voices cannot be heard. Let them have a platform. Join Advocacy. Africans doing for themselves by themselves. Whoever want to be frightened, the hell with them. Just join and get your African People's Liberation Army going in your own country. Free up your... Yeah.
All right, we take the next call. Hello?
Susan, good day.
Yes, good evening. Yes.
I'm calling out of so I didn't get a chance to fully review the video regards to the conference that they had there. But just as the brother from I think it's in Kitts or Nevis, that just spoke, because for example in Guyana, if you to track the news in Guyana, South America, we're the only English-speaking country in South America. And the amount of issues that the Africans are facing here, it is very difficult. So, that's why I was mentioning in the comment that they should develop things like direct flight to Africa, or direct trading with Africa to promote Africa a bit more in the Caribbean. While we have our African presence, it's not as effective as it should be. So, and also if you to check the news on, for example, the government, because I managed to just review just a brief snippet of the video, and I saw a president sitting there. But currently, if you to review Guyana's news, you would see the detriment that the Africans are facing based on the brutality and all the other measures that are taking place here. And he was sitting on that board comfortably, even though the current state in Guyana, it is terrible for the Africans. And that's a current, there's a lot of strike and a lot of things that are taking place here. And we're trying to work our way through that. And I reached out before to the program, but I didn't get on directly. So I decided to attempt today again. Which is good to see that at least they start up with that initiative of developing that communication channel. And also one of the things that they also need to do is to, if Africa themselves in the motherland could develop things like communication services, that would help us to avoid, things like being censored, as the young man was saying, certain things being blocked and, you're being suppressed. That's because we're using conventional apps and software and all these things that are more, against Africans. Instead of promoting, they prefer to shut that down. So, I hope in the near future they could develop such measures to make it a bit more easier for the Africans in the Caribbean to relate to our brothers and sisters. What I'm doing right now is to communicate directly with certain individuals, but we're seeking things like, for example, how to develop Africa. For example, we're in the Caribbean, and I can tell you for sure. Sorry for taking so long. If I'm too
go ahead.
But yes, so one of the things, because I started like about a year now communicating with certain African brothers and sisters who are there, and one of the main issues that I'm facing is financial services in Africa. I find it almost impossible so far. I think the last option that I had to try was to do direct bank transfer. Easy way in which you could just do online transfer using certain services like PayPal and all these other services. It's almost impossible. So we've tried multiple times on a lot of different apps trying to have finances transferred, for example, things like investment.
Okay, Susan, if I could
having an app that is centralized to Africa and the Caribbean.
All right. Okay. Susan, I have an answer for that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Susan,
thank you.
I have an answer for that. Let him get in touch. We have a system that's been developed for remittances in Africa. It's called WayAPay, WAYAPAY. The innovator is Sam Bantu in Kenya, but you could come through me, and we can start that process in Guyana as one of the key areas that since you are committed to that, we can get started with that. Wire pay, which is to wire money between ourselves. It is available.
Okay, yeah. All these suggestions, I think these are also things that we would have to. I mean, he touched a very important point. That was what we were talking about yesterday. Of course, we do understand that, you know, if it's on another level, but we want to see that kind of a union that actually would integrate. I mean, we're just talking about the earthquake in Haiti. We're just talking about that. It's not. We're not even breathing from it. And we also saw the one in New York. We also saw the one out here in the UK. And all these places affect the African, all these challenges as well, right? And so we want to see a round table that is inclusive of this. First of all, you don't fix the smaller things. How do we fix the big ones? Like I said in the beginning. So, of course, this is a step. We appreciate that step. And the first step, we need to push it further. We come up with our initiatives. And then the other thing that the brother said, I don't know, the last caller, particularly in terms of this communication and then shutting us down. We African people, His Excellency, just tell us, we are spiritual people. That's why we will not even in future need even communication technologies. We feel one another. We just understand. We go to the village strategy. You hit a gong and everybody just understand what it means. What do you think? If we go back to our culture, we are good to go without them.
Advocacy is going back to our culture and getting, you know, because we operate on a different vibration level to other ethnicities. Africans are very high vibration level. Our DNA has 9 levels as opposed to others who are 6 and 5. And that is something that we must investigate. Why did our ancestors put us here on this earth with 9 levels? And everybody's been trying to keep us down because we are the stronger of all that's on the earth. And people are scared of us. And that's why they're trying their very best, you know, to keep us down. So we need to get up to our, you know, vibration level and be communicating like we used to between ourselves, you know, and feel for each other. But people are developing apps even in this modern digital time as well. So let's seek out those who are developing apps that will be fulfilling our needs. And there's quite a few of them together in Africa and also in the diaspora. Let's pool them together and start utilizing them and marketing them and participating with them than other apps. Let's grow our apps. Let's grow our people. That is important. So maybe what you do, Suzanne, is request for a bank of apps, you know, list them and then spread them out to our people. It's important, you know, so we grow together.
Absolutely. We're going to grow together. We can see that. I want to thank all of you that are watching. I see really in their numbers. That's too much respect and the fact that we are seeing this historical movement and event that has taken more than 500 years. I also want to thank those that watched the show. One of the first shows that we did with Professor Baina Bell of Haiti yesterday, and those that are newly subscribed to the channel were actually moved. We got a lot of calls after that, even though it was a rebroadcast. What I want to say particularly is that Professor Baina Bello would be coming on the show anytime this month, particularly on the subject of solidarity for Haiti. And so we're going to be doing an online fundraising straight on the spot. We already have people that are just saying, hey, if Professor Baina Bello is going to sit there, I already put my money apart, you know, to give it to her because we appreciate her work. She's a warrior queen, and there's nobody is, you know, is going to do it. So this kind of solidarity It's actually what we should be doing. So check out our press release will be coming. We're going to drop that event when Professor Baina Bello is going to be live here for us to raise our support, like we already announced some times ago, for our brothers and sisters in the Haiti. I mean, we would have done it also for Saint Valentia when the flooding came, but it's a new spirit that we have to engage in, because it's not only the summit and diplomatic talks, but let it start also from us, the underground people. Let it start from people to people. And on this note, we'll also be having our elder Marvin Gaye with his $1 One Africa project. He's going to be coming live also next week to present that project to us, to say we can start small. Let's first of all just start putting the many things that we can have, support one another at our own discreet and our own means before we all go up to the top. Over to you, His Excellency.
Yes, I think that's a brilliant idea. $1, one African, $1, one African child. Let's put those together and utilize our organizations to help implement some of the ideas that we have for the continent. And I think that's a brilliant idea. I totally support any support that's also given to Haiti, and I will make my contribution. Once you let me know, I will send it to you.
Beautiful, beautiful. We're gonna share the link out there. And yes, anybody, we're just already starting the announcement today to say Solidarity Haiti is one of the biggest charity event that we'll be hosting for the first time. I mean, we've been doing a lot of support for ADDI and also something like that, but this one for Haiti, we're gonna our chair lady for Haiti, Professor Baina Bello, is gonna champion it, and is gonna go to her organization Fondation Félicité. I mean, we know all what this queen has been doing ever since she was a girl, and now she is even a younger girl, and she is still powerful. She has empowered people. It's not just the talk, like His Excellency is saying, it's the walk. So any place we're going to put our penny into that Fondation Félicité, we are damn sure that our people in Haiti are secured, because we've seen her work. We've seen the volunteers out there. I mean, I'm so proud she's the correspondent for Haiti for us on the Pan-African Daily TV, and it's not a coincidence. It's not a mistake. So please make sure you warm up for that day where we're going to raise. Let's just reach, some hundreds of thousands to support our people in the Haiti. So we're dropping the flyer once we get the date, and please make sure you share this flyer. We're going to stand up for Haiti, and we're going to take this step one after the other, one country after the other. And that's the biggest way we can start this unity and this solidarity, by starting the first steps, and the bigger ones will just follow. So I want to thank you also, His Excellency, for already announcing your support to that charity solidarity that is coming up. I know we announced that first and we talked about that, but now she is ready, because she also was affected, some of her family members, and now the program is live, and we'll be doing just that. So thank you so very, very much. And I want to thank all of you that have been watching from Haiti. I see people watching here, and I mean, it's so enormous. Thank you so very much. If you're here for the first time, please make sure you click the like button, subscribe to the Pan-African Daily TV, and then share. But one thing, don't forget to click the notification bells. I know most often, if Kofi and Johnny Boy here, they always tell me, Susan, you have to keep reminding. We have guests that don't actually know they're here for the first time. Yes, we're running our 1 million campaign to get our subscribers on the YouTube. It's not just a 1 million campaign to get followers, because as you know, we are not bloggers, we're not content creators, we are liberators and warriors. We are connecting and uniting our people on the mainland and in the diaspora for the unity of motherland. So we're not joking here. Susan is not just making produce some videos and hang out there. It's a whole movement that has been ordained by the Creator and the God of our ancestors, that we should be meeting at this moment. And every African is accountable and is important in this process. So each and every way that you can support, to subscribe, to donate, to share the link, to get everyone on board, we truly appreciate you. You're not doing it for Susan Tata, you're not doing it for Ambassador, you're not doing it. Just know it's your contribution as a son and daughter and of Africa to do that. It's time to take responsibility, and we must do it with a little effort. Just to click like, share, subscribe, it's not much, right? So I want to thank all of you that will be doing that right now if you haven't done that. And we are going to be rounding up if there are no more questions and comments coming in today, because we have to prepare for the big day tomorrow with Ambassador Commission David, this gentleman, handsome, cute, Pan-African, Caribbean born, is gonna really share some very cute information with us, and we cannot wait. Today is the day for Caribbean. The Caribbeans have been saying, oh, we don't have our own people represented on the Pan-African Daily TV. But guess what? You are the one changing the game right now. Africa Caribbean first ever summit after 500 years. Who does that? So we're so damn proud of you. Shout out there to all of you people. So, Ambassador, what is it that we should be looking forward to, like the outcomes?
The outcome is changing the narrative for Africa. The outcome is hands-off Africa. The outcome is repopulating Africa. The outcome is Africa taking charge of her destiny. And we are the ones to drive that process.
Thank you. Do you want to just say a word on APLA? Because I almost forgot.
Well, APLA, I have asked, and I want you to let everyone know that they must set up their own African People's Liberation Army militia in every community. So that's the only way you're going to take charge. You can't do it from afar in your own community. If you have raw material resources that needs to be protected for your community, let's have an African People's Liberation Army militia in that community. And you will be protecting yourselves, protecting your environment, protecting your resources. We have to start somewhere, and that's the best way to do it. And APLA has to be the change. We are taking a book out of the Chinese. The same ones who are invading us at this moment, we have to repel them. They started and have the People's Liberation Army, and it has worked for them. It will work for us. We use the same tools and get the same results. So let's protect our continent. Let's protect our communities. Let's protect our countries. And we make no apologies for it. We must protect ourselves. Our survival is at stake. Everything that we have on the continent is at stake. And if we don't take charge in every community, in every part, every nook and cranny of Africa, people are going to exploit it and take it away from us. We can't afford that. So set up your own Africa People's Liberation Army militia in your community. Get a leader and everyone join and be your brother's keeper. Monitor what is going on, take charge, repel, and if you have to, remove. And no, there is no apologies for that, because enough is enough. Africa has been taken advantage too many times, for too long, for too many centuries. We are not going to allow it to happen in this century again now. We are now older, wiser, more proactive, more knowledgeable, and we know what to do, and we shall do it, and we must do it. It's the only way it can be done, must be done, will be done. Africa People's Liberation Army, militias.
I mean, that's the general. I mean, this in your position as a general, because when we talk about the African Business Roundtable Ambassador, it's as if that's just where you are, but you have a military background and a former general of a whole nation. So you actually know what you're talking about, right? And so, yes, thank you so very much. We've all heard that it should be one Africa, one currency is also going to be another topic that we'll be asking. Is there anything in the near future of coins coming out there? Even Advocacy, you have your coin already.
We're working on standardizing the African currencies into one currency, and it is in the pipeline at the moment. So let's say, keep an eye out. we can't talk too much about it because it's groundbreaking.
I
Very
hear. I
very
share. I hear you.
Yes.
I hear you.
Unite
Okay.
our currency, and we have to have one because the individual currencies is our poverty. Every African with the different currencies, what they're doing is taking advantage of the fact that we do not have a united currency. We have all the raw materials to back up the united currency of Africa, and we must do that. Everybody else have currencies by fiat paper, and they don't have, what we have to back up a united African currency. So let's do it, and we are going to do it. It has to happen.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, His Excellency. We're up on the program. Will you be watching Ambassador Commission tomorrow?
Yeah, of course, yes.
What a question, isn't it?
I will. And of course, I'm available to support him. I'm available to talk and interact if necessary and when necessary. I will certainly be there. I will be tuned in.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's the spirit of oneness, one Africa, and the Africa that we want. When one stands up, we all rally and support them. And so we're calling upon all of you to rally behind the Africa Caribbean Summit, which is the first ever event. Call it iconic historical event after 500 years that we see these synergies. And so don't wonder why, if you say people are not clapping or dancing to it or not giving us the voices to do it, it's normal. Who wanted this to ever happen? Why do we think that they should just stand now and do it? So like I said, it's our turn, it's our time, and it's forever. It's not now or never. No, there's not going to be something again like that. It's now and forever. Yeah. So I want to thank all of you for your contribution. We are going to meet us here, same time tomorrow, 8 p.m. South Africa, we say 3 p.m. Caribbean, 1 p.m. Haiti, 2 p.m. Eastern American Standard Time, with His Excellency David Commission from the CARICOM and the ambassador to Barbuda for Africa, had been also at the African Union. I mean, he's so rich and rich and rich in potentials and engagement, and as a lawyer himself, so he knows all the nooks and corners. And so I am looking forward to host this honorable guest for the first time on the Pan-African Daily TV. It is not going to be as usual. So join us tomorrow, same time. Good night to you. Stay safe. Remain blessed. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tata. The Africa we want. Unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherlands calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan-African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa.